Hey team, Yasin here, and in this training, we're going to be going over the step-by-step instructions on how to actually do a skills session. So I'm super pumped to go ahead and get you set up properly for the rest of the module, so that way you know exactly when we get to a skills session, exactly what it is that you are going to be doing, okay? So like I said, inside of this training, we're going to go over the step-by-step, everything you need to know, one-stop shop, end-all, be-all, so that way you can go ahead and complete the skills sessions inside of this module. And so this is going to be what it looks like for us to get through this training here. There are going to be a total of 7 steps that we're going to go ahead and become familiar with, so that way when we actually get to the skills session trainings that are inside of this module, you know exactly what it is that you need to do. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Step number 1 is going to be all about setting up your free Zoom account. And so if you are not familiar with Zoom is basically a video conferencing software that allows anybody to be able to meet with someone. So think like FaceTime, WhatsApp video chat, that kind of stuff, just a little bit better than that. Okay, so Zoom is going to be your bread and butter inside of your remote online business. And so having it set up and understanding exactly how to use it is going to be key. And so we are going to be walking you through that step by step here together. So number one thing that you want to do here for step number 1 is you do want to go ahead and sign up for your free Zoom account. And so the link is available inside of the guide. It's also going to be linked in the action steps below, or you can just go to zoom.us if you do not already have a Zoom account. Couple points in terms of the pricing plans that they have available. We are going to be using for right now the free account, okay? So the free account is what we are going to be using right now. And so you can see here there's some of, it talks about what is on the Zoom account on there. Now the free plan is limited to 40-minute meetings, okay? So each skills session is actually going to be less than 40 minutes inside of this module. And so we are going to be able to do with the free account for now. And then as we go ahead and start building your remote wellness practice, we can go ahead and talk about if it is going to be necessary for you to be able to upgrade and talk about what that looks like and all of that kind of stuff from there. Okay, so that is going to be step number 1, which is signing up for your absolutely free Zoom account, and you want to make sure that you go ahead and take care of that. Okay, now couple other points. When you actually have your Zoom account set up and then you go ahead and click on my account, what's going to happen is that it's going to look like this. Okay, now I want to go ahead and make a very quick note for you to understand the difference between a personal meeting room and a scheduled meeting room. Okay, so let me go ahead and walk you through this so that way you can understand the difference between it. Okay, so when you actually sign up for your Zoom account and you go to your main Zoom account profile settings, what's going to happen is when it looks like this, right here under meeting, you will see that it says personal meeting ID. Okay, it's going to say personal meeting ID, and then it's going to have this little eyelash icon here. It's going to be like a closed eye, and then when you actually click on it, it's going to show you what your personal meeting ID actually is. Now your personal meeting ID, you can kind of imagine it's kind of like a phone number, right? It's like your specific ID that allows you to be able to get people into your personal meeting room. Now, when you actually click on that little eyelash, that's a little closed eye, when you open it, it's going to actually also go ahead and show you this link right here, okay? Now, this link right here, the one that says https://us02web.zoom.us/j and then a number, right? That is basically going to be your personal meeting ID. Now, that is going to be the link that you use pretty much for all of your Zoom meetings that you actually use in order to schedule with other students, with your future students, with clients, with everybody. This is going to be the link that you actually use. Now, this is going to actually be different than what we call the scheduled meeting room, okay? So you'll see here at the left side, there's profile and then there's meetings, okay? Now, if you click on that button that says meetings, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And then this is where you can actually come in and like schedule a meeting. And then it's going to show you like, hey, you have a meeting with so-and-so at this time, a meeting with so-and-so at this time, a meeting with so-and-so at this time. Now, here's what I'm going to say. We typically do not use scheduled meetings. The reason is because it kind of complicates things, because every scheduled meeting has its own ID. Okay, so you remember if I scroll back up here, you'll see, remember we had our personal meeting ID, and then every single scheduled meeting has its own own ID. And so what we find that we do personally is that we just use our personal meeting ID, and we just use that same ID for everything. And then when somebody actually joins, you can let them in from the waiting room, and then that way it's very easy, and we'll talk more about that later inside of this training. Okay, so I did want to just go ahead and point that out, the difference between the personal meeting room and the scheduled meeting room. And so when we talk about your Zoom link, that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so your personal meeting ID Zoom link, that's the one that you're going to be using for all of your skills sessions. Okay, so that is going to be step number 1 out of the 7 steps to understand for getting your skill sessions done, which is setting up your free Zoom account and understanding the difference between meeting personal ID and the scheduled meeting ID, right? Step number 2, we're going to talk about now is going to be about commenting on the session's student community post. So let's go ahead and talk about that right now. So here's the thing. Every single skill session is going to have its own student community post, okay? And so what you are going to do is inside of every single one of those posts, you're going to follow these steps when you actually get to that session. So again, the training for every single skill session is going to have its own post, okay? And you're going to follow these steps for each skill session, okay? So step number 1 within this step is going to be for you to comment your location and availability on the skill session post, right? So here's just an example. Hey, RWA family, I'm in, Dallas in Central Time Zone, and my availability is XYZ, right? So hey, RWA family, I'm in Simi Valley, California, near Los Angeles in Pacific Time Zone. My availability is this. Excited to partner with one of you. Again, this is not a specific template. You do just want to make sure that you can go ahead and hit these points. So location, time zone, and availability. But the words other than that, you can go ahead and be flexible with those and change them to how you speak, no problem. Okay, so visually, this is what that is going to look like, right? So you can see here, I went ahead and commented, say, hey, RWA family, I'm in Dallas, Texas, this time zone, this is my availability. Now, you'll notice, even though other students have already commented, I am first going to comment my availability, right? So even though Coach Muhammad has already commented on here, I disregard that for right now. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and focus on commenting my own availability. You do not want to be caught being one of those students who wears the failure uniform and then says, oh, I didn't comment my availability. I just messaged a bunch of people and nobody got back to me. You want to make sure that you first drop your comment, and then after you've dropped your comment with your location, your time zone, and your availability, then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to reply to another student's comment. You're going to reply to another student's availability, asking to be able to work with them. And so this is what it's going to look like visually. So you saw I went ahead and commented my availability and my location, all that kind of stuff, right? And then you'll see here, I just went ahead and hit reply for Mohammed's, and I said, hey, would be awesome to work together on the session. Just sent you a friend request. Looking forward to hearing from you. So again, just a generic message, doesn't have to have any specific wording. You just want to reply back to another student's comment. And so that way, after you've dropped your comment, you can reply to another student's comment, letting them know that you're interested in working with them. Now, a couple notes on this. This is very important. I want to go ahead and put a couple notes on this, okay? Number 1, you want to make sure that you actually tag them. So you'll see here inside of my reply, it says Muhammad Malik and it's bolded a little bit, right? That's because that is a tag. And so you want to make sure that when you are hitting reply, you want to make sure that that tag is there. Otherwise, if they are not tagged, they may not actually get a notification that you replied to their comment, okay? Now, normally when you do hit reply, it does automatically tag them. However, I did want to just go ahead and mention that just in case, okay? The second point that I want to go ahead and make that's very important to note is that the way that Facebook works is that you are going to either have to friend request them and then direct message them, or both at the same time. Because if you send a direct message, also known as a DM, if you send a DM to someone that is not your friend, they are not going to see it, okay? When those messages are not going to be seen by that person, because messages that are sent to a person that when you are not friends on Facebook, they end up in a folder called message requests. So they don't actually go to the main inbox and the person doesn't get a notification. What ends up happening is they go to a folder called message requests. And so you can go to message requests and see your own message requests by clicking on the messenger icon. And then you click on the 3 dots right there, and then you'll see that there's a option on here that says message request. So you can see it's not even easy to find. And so whenever anybody that is not your friend sends you a DM or a message on Facebook, what happens is that it goes into the message requests folder. And so that is why when you actually reply to the student, it is very good to go ahead and add them as a friend. So you go ahead and send them a friend request. Some students have their friend request ability turned off. In that case, you can try to send them a message, but just note that it is going to go to message requests folder, and you can just go ahead and reply also so they get that notification, and then they can send you a friend request, and then that way you guys can go ahead and message back and forth. Okay, so that's the second point that I wanted to mention. And then the third point that I want to go ahead and mention is that it is recommended to partner with a different student for every skills session. So if this is not your first skills session, you want to try to partner with a different student if possible. Okay, now this is ideal. Sometimes it may not be possible, but you want to try if you can, because partnering with different students allows you to experience how different students communicate through each of the different skills inside of this module. Okay, so it's going to be almost pretty much a requirement. There's going to be 4 skill sessions inside of this module. You want to try to work with 4 different students. However, sometimes it may not be possible. That's understandable, but as much as possible, you want to partner with a different student for each of these skills sessions. Okay, so very, very important notes on there. Now, after you've gone ahead and replied, if you still do not have a partner, what you want to do is you want to follow up 2 to 3 days afterwards by replying back to their comment and following up, right? So just a generic message, hey, just following up again, just checking in to see if you received my friend request XYZ, right? So you can see here, this was Muhammad's comment on here. And then I went ahead and replied to his comment. And then I replied again to his comment with the tag and said, hey, just following up again, checking to see if you received my friend request. And then I got an emoji there, right? Now, a couple points on this. When you are following up, you want to give it about 2 to 3 days. You do want to have grace for your fellow students. Maybe they're busy, maybe they're not checking actively, right? So you want to have some grace there. Number 2, do not get hung bent on a specific student. Don't get obsessed thinking I have to work with this person. There are many students in the program. You can go ahead and hit up many other students as well. And so that way you can go ahead and find another student to work with. And so just move on to another student. This is the skill of networking that you will also be learning here. And so all you got to do is repeat the process that we talked about: comment, friend request, message, and go through that process. Okay. And then number 3 on here, you can continue with the training as you are getting partnered with students. Okay, so don't get stuck here. You can continue with the training while doing the skill sessions in the background. Okay, so while you're waiting to partner up with a student, keep going through the training. Don't just pause here and lose your momentum and then show up like a week later or 2 weeks later and be like, oh, I was just kind of waiting for a student. No, keep going. Put in your time into the classroom, and then you can partner in the background. Okay, so that is going to be step number 2 that we just talked about. Okay, so 7 steps altogether. Step number 1 we said is setting up your free Zoom account. We've now talked about commenting on the sessions student community post, and now step number 3 we're going to talk about is the DM conversation and scheduling. Okay, so at this point you should have gone ahead and commented your availability, replied to another student's comment, sent them a friend request, messaged them, and now you are in having a DM conversation, a direct message conversation with them. Okay, so once you get into contact with the student via Messenger, you are going to do the following. Number 1, you're going to schedule a time for your guys' skills session. Okay, so you're going to go back and forth with the student to find a time that works best for both of you to have a session. Normally, these sessions are going to last anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour maximum. Okay, so you want to budget for about an hour. Okay, now a very important point for this: make sure that when you are finding that time to schedule, you want to make sure that you're on the same page in terms of time zones. Okay, so if the person is in Eastern time and you're in Central time, and you guys just say, cool, let's meet at 5 p.m. That's not enough, because is it 5 p.m. EST or is it 5 p.m. CST? You don't want to get confused by this. You want to make sure you're on the same page with time zones. Number 2, you want to exchange Zoom links inside of that DM conversation. Okay, so you do not have to exchange personal information or phone numbers if you don't want to. All you got to do is just send them your Zoom link, which is your personal meeting link, and you say, hey, here's my Zoom link, and then the other person sends you their Zoom link as well inside of Facebook Messenger. And then number 3, you have to decide who's going to be the coach first. So you want to pick somebody to start as the coach and the other person to be the student while you guys are discussing on Messenger. Okay, it doesn't matter who goes first. Just pick between yourselves during that DM conversation. And then here's the thing: whoever is the coach first, you will be meeting on their Zoom link first, right? So you exchange the Zoom links. You exchange Zoom links, but then which Zoom link are you going to use, right? Which one are you going to start off with? You're going to start by using the Zoom link of the student that is going to be the RWP coach first. I hope that makes sense. Let us know if you have any questions about that. Now, having said that, a couple points about professionalism. This is very, very, very important. You want to be professional, okay? Don't be a weirdo. Don't be a creep. Don't be one of those people, okay? You want to be respectful and kind. Actually communicate. Don't be dry. Try to use some emojis if possible. Try to answer fully. Don't just give one-word answers. That's very important, okay? This is not a hanging out with your best buds or best girlfriends on a Saturday night type of deal, okay? This is a professional interaction. Show up like it is, okay? Number 2, once you actually schedule your appointment, okay? You schedule your session, actually show up. Don't be one of those people that forgets and doesn't show up. Number 3, communicate. If something comes up and you need to change the time, communicate. Don't be one of those students who messages last minute because their dog died or whatever other thing, excuse that is going on because you didn't plan properly and then you woke up late or whatever. No, please just communicate. Very, very, very important. Again, really don't be dry. Don't have those one-word answers, those students who don't know how to communicate through text. Just actually communicate. Be a nice, warm person. It's very, very important. Number 4, this is your reputation as an RWP. If you can't even be professional and respectful and show up to your scheduled time, how are you going to make $10,000 plus per month online as an RWP, right? And then on top of that, these are going to be the same students that you are going to partner up with again in module 5, and you're going to get testimonials from each other. You guys are going to exchange testimonials based off of your guys' beta programs, okay? So you don't want to ruin your reputation from the very start of this, okay? So those are some very key points when it comes to professionalism, specifically inside of this step when we talk about the DM conversation, okay? So 7 steps for completing the skills session. We've gone ahead and talked about 1, 2, and now we just finished talking about the DM conversation and scheduling. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about step number 7, which is actually doing the skills session. So let's go ahead and talk about that right now. So actually doing the skills session, step number 4, okay? So what we're going to do here is inside of step number 4, we're going to talk specifically about Zoom and how to master Zoom, right? Because becoming familiar with Zoom, it's going to be absolutely critical because this is a remote business. And so everything that is going to be happening on Zoom remotely. And so Zoom is going to become your bread and butter, especially when you get into here in module 4, module 5, module 6, and onwards when you're working with your students, okay? So Zoom is what frees up your ability to be able to work with anyone in the entire world. And Zoom is what allows you to be able to travel the world while making $10,000 plus per month, okay? So it's definitely worth learning, right? So I do have some very important tips to walk you through exactly how Zoom works. And so what we're going to do is for this, I'm actually going to switch over to a quick mini training. So that way I can go ahead and pull up Zoom and show you exactly what it looks like in order to go through these Zoom tips. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut over to that quick mini training right now. All right, welcome to this quick mini training about Zoom and how to use Zoom and all of the details around Zoom. So first and foremost, as we go ahead and hop into this, I got a couple points. Number 1, you want to make sure that you go ahead and download Zoom on your computer. This is going to be a computer thing. You want to make sure that you are setting yourself up in the environment in which you are actually going to be doing your sessions. I would strongly advise against doing this on your phone. It's not professional. It doesn't look very good. I would highly recommend that you do this on your computer. So what you want to do is you want to download Zoom on your computer. Yes, you can download it on your phone, the Zoom app, just in case for, emergencies or something, but primarily you want to download it on your computer. So you're going to follow this link that is inside of the guide, or you can just Google download Zoom, and then it's going to take you over to a download center. And then that way you can go ahead and download Zoom onto your computer. Okay. That's going to be very important for you to do. So that way you can go through all of the settings that I'm going to go ahead and walk you through. Next up, let's go ahead and actually open up the Zoom software and show you what this actually looks like. But before I do that, I want to walk you through what it looks like on the browser. Okay, so if I go over here to the actual settings and you go over to my account, you're going to see it's going to take you over here. And then like we were talking about inside of the training, this is your personal meeting ID. And then if you click on this eyelash, I'm not going to click it because I don't want everybody to know what the personal meeting ID for this is, the one that I'm using, because it's my personal one. But the point being is that when you click it on your end, it's going to show you this link. And then this is the way that I actually go ahead and get into my Zoom account. So what I do is I actually copy this link. Again, you got to make sure you click on this eyelash icon and then copy your link. But what you do is you copy this link right here. And then when you have this account downloaded on here, when you have this software downloaded, what I usually do is I just open up a browser tab and I go ahead and literally just paste it there. And then from there, it goes ahead and opens that Zoom client meeting up. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it. You can also open up the software and go from there. Let us know if you have any questions on how to actually get into your Zoom meeting, but it's pretty straightforward. If you have difficulty doing it, you can go ahead and let us know, or you can be resourceful and Google it and YouTube it, and there's a gazillion ways that'll show you how to do that. Okay, now let's go ahead and open up this and show you what this looks like on here. So this is what it looks like when you're on the Zoom meeting right here. Okay, now a couple points on here. I'm gonna just go ahead and make it a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, couple points on here. You'll see at the bottom left right now I am muted on it. Let me see if I can get this to show up right there. So right now I'm muted because obviously I'm recording this training, but obviously you will not be muted. This is the button that you can use to unmute yourself. This is the button you can use in order to start your video. Okay, so next up on here, security. I don't know what it does. I don't really ever use it. Participants. When you click on this, it is going to go ahead and open up a panel. And then in this panel is going to show you all of the participants. Okay. And then here, when you put your mouse over a participant, you click on more, you'll see that when you're the host, you can only rename yourself. So if you have a name that's on there, you got to rename yourself. You can do that there. You can unmute yourself. And then when somebody joins using your link, they're going to show up here under participants. And then you're going to have to let them into the room. Okay. This is very important to understand, is that they're going to show up right here and it's going to say XYZ is in your meeting room. And then it's going to say, go ahead and accept them and approve them into your meeting room. That's very important. You need to understand that. Okay. At the bottom here, you can see there's an invite link, there's a mute all, and there's a more button link. The more button link, let me see if I can collapse this for you guys. There we go. More. So ask all to mute. There's a bunch of entries on here. Mute all upon entry, lock meeting, unmute themselves, rename, start video. There's a whole bunch of different settings on here that you can play with. Okay. So that is the participants tab and how all of that works. Next up, after that, we then have the chat box right here. So we go ahead and click on chat, and that's going to go ahead and open up the chat on here. So you can see here we have the participants open. We can close the participants. We can open the participants right here. And then we have our chat right here. You can go ahead and chat between whoever's inside of the actual meeting. From there, if we close the chat, you'll see that there's a share screen on here. You can go ahead and share your screen. Once you actually do that, you'll see that we have all of these windows open. You can go ahead and select either to share the whole desktop or to share a specific window right here. That is exactly how that is going to work. Okay. Next up, after that, if you needed to actually give share screen permissions to somebody else who's in your meeting room. So right now, only the host can share their screen. Okay. If you wanted to have somebody who's in the meeting room share their screen, you'd click on this little arrow right here, and then you would click on advanced share options, and you'll see here it gives you who can share, all participants, right? And then it gives you a bunch of different options on here for sharing, right? So that's that. Then here, record. This is very important. When you click on record, there may be two options depending on what plan you have for Zoom. Record on this computer or record to the cloud. If you have the free account, you will have to record on this computer, and I'm going to show you where the location for that is going to go to, okay? If you have a pro account, then you can record in the cloud as well, and they give you like a gigabyte of free storage in the cloud, okay? Reactions, I never really use it, but it's available there. More, if you wanted to live stream, if you have that option on the pro account, that is all under more. Okay. And then obviously the end button in order for you to leave or end a meeting. Okay. So all of that is there. Couple other points on here. If you click on this little meeting information button here at the top left, right over here. Let me see if I can get that to show up for you. There we go. Right over there. If you click on that, that is actually going to go ahead and open this up. And then over here, you can go ahead and copy link, and then you can share that link and give it to people if they need to join this meeting, XYZ. That is how you would do that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and go into the settings. This is going to be very, very, very important. Now, if I go ahead and click on this little icon right here, this caret arrow icon, and then let's say, for example, I go over to video settings. If I go over to video settings, you'll see there's a general settings. And then to go ahead, you can see there's a whole bunch of settings. You can read through that. You can see, you know, the theme I want to use, the reactions that you want to use, the color of the reactions, all of that kind of stuff. That's this. And then if I go over video, obviously because I'm recording, my video is not showing, but you can switch between the different cameras that you might have. If you have a little bit more of an advanced camera, it's going to give you some more options. If you're just using your webcam on your laptop, some of these options ones may not be available for you, but you can go through and look at all of these different options that are available on here specifically for your video. Okay. Then audio, you can select your audio source on here as well. You can see it's recording for me. That's why it's going ahead and giving me all of this pulsing on here, but you can check, hey, this is the speaker I want to use. This is the mic I want to use. All of the mic and audio settings are located here. Okay. Share screen, all of the share screen permissions and all the settings for that are located here. I'm not going to go through all of them specifically, but you can go ahead and pause, or you can look at yours and read through that. Background and effects. This is where you can actually go ahead. You see, I have a whole bunch of different ones on here. You can actually mess around with different virtual backgrounds as well. All of that is available for you. You can mess around with your recording settings as well. All of that is available for you as well. Now, listen to this very carefully. Store my recordings at. This is going to be where your recordings are going to be stored. Not specifically what's on my screen, but whatever is on your screen specifically. Let me see if I can actually make this bigger. It doesn't look like I can make it bigger for you, unfortunately. But what you can do is you can click on open, and then you can change the recording location storage on your computer if you would like, okay? And then you can mess around with the recording settings on here also. Very, very, very important, okay? Next up, statistics. I don't really know what this is all about, but all of that is there. Feedback, keyboard shortcuts, accessibility, okay? All of that is there. You can mess around with the font size and all that kind of stuff, okay? That is going to be very important. Let me go over here, make sure we hit everything. How to record, we talked about cloud versus local. Free accounts only have local storage, very important. We talked about the local recording computer location inside of the settings. This is the second, the I don't know, 1, 2, 3, fourth thing that is very important. Recording in gallery view versus speaker view. This is very important to understand, is that when you click on view at the top right here, let me go ahead and see if I can get it on here. Right here, because it disappears. Right here, right? If you click on view, there's going to be speaker view, gallery view, immersive view, show non-video participants, and full screen. You want to make sure that you are in gallery view, because this is how local recordings work, okay? On local recordings, what it is doing is it's recording whatever you are showing, okay? And so what's happening is that if you're in speaker view, it is going to show on the main screen here, it is going to show whoever is speaking. It's not going to record the person who is not speaking. And so in other words, what that means is that, for example, if your student is talking, you are going to be off screen, and then it's not going to show you inside of the screen. It's not going to show you inside of the recording, okay? However, if you go ahead and switch this to gallery view, when you switch this to gallery view, obviously nothing happens because nobody's in the meeting with me right now, but when others are in the meeting with me and I have my video on, what it's going to do is it's going to show my video and it's going to show the other person's video side by side, or it's going to show everybody in the meeting and it's going to show them in a gallery. When you have the gallery view, it's going to record everyone in the meeting. And so you can mess around with this. Let's say, for example, you don't want to be on the recording for a second, you switch over to speaker view, and then you want to be on the recording, you switch it to gallery view. However, for the sake of the skill sessions, I recommend that both you and the person, your partner, are on the recording at all times. And so I would highly recommend that make sure when you actually do the recording, right? Let's go ahead and click on record on this computer. When I actually, because I'm muted, I'm gonna record without audio. Yes, no problem. Now, when I'm recording, you see how the recording is started. I wanna make sure that I am in gallery view, so that way it records me and the other person, everybody in the meeting right now. It's going to record everybody, even if I'm not talking. So that way I'm always in the video. So that way I don't accidentally make a mistake and only record speaker view. That's number one. Number two, sometimes when there are other people inside of the meeting, you can actually pin somebody so that way they show up on the main screen. You want to be careful because let's say, for example, you actually pin your student and you pin them. And so that way the student is the one that's showing up on here. Even if you are in gallery view, but the person is pinned, they are the only one that's going to show up in the recording. So even if you're talking, even if you're doing everything, you're interacting, you won't show up in the recording. This is very important to understand. Immersive, I've never really used immersive. There's all this like 3D text stuff that they're trying to mess around with, but speaker and gallery view, you have to know the difference between the two. It's very, very, very important. And that is the recording that is going, and then you can just stop the recording there, okay? Let's go ahead, and we talked about virtual backgrounds. Very important, have good lighting. Don't be creepy sitting in a dark room, not being able to show your face. You want to make sure you have good audio. Be respectful, right? Don't be somewhere in like a noisy coffee shop or under a waterfall or like in a construction site or something like that. You want to go ahead and you can use your laptop audio, or you can use headphones. Should be fine. You don't have to get a mic or anything like that, but you just want to make sure you have good audio, make sure that you have good lighting. If make sure your camera works, make sure you test everything out so that way you aren't wasting time. You aren't wasting the other students' time when you are going through this process. Very, very, very important. Okay. So that is how Zoom works. That That is how all of the ins and outs of Zoom works. I'm sure there might be some stuff that are more advanced. If you do have any questions around Zoom, let us know, or you can be resourceful, and Zoom has amazing support. They have amazing help docs. They have YouTube, Google, literally just Google anything and you'll be able to find how to be able to use it on Zoom. But if you're really stuck, go ahead and let us know. We can go ahead and help you. But ultimately, I would highly recommend using Google because literally every answer is on Google. Just Google it and I promise you'll find the answer. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and hop back over to the main training now that we actually know the ins and outs of Zoom. All right, welcome back from that quick mini training about how to actually use Zoom and all of the nitty gritty and the settings and all of that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's going to be very important for you to master Zoom so that way you can understand it and how to use it in your remote online income and career. So that is step number 4, which is doing the skill session. But that's only part 1 here. Okay. How to master Zoom. We've talked about this, right? But now I want to talk to you very briefly about how to actually conduct the skills session. Okay. So 4 points on here. Number 1, the person who is the RWP coach, you guys will both be meeting on their Zoom link first. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, do not forget to start the recording. Critical. You don't want to have to repeat this entire process because you forgot to start the recording. This is so critical. So whoever is the RWP coach, whoever's meeting on their Zoom link, they are going to be responsible for their recording. And so remind each other, right? Even if you're the student, just remind, hey, I know you're the coach right now, but just make sure you don't forget to start your recording. Remind each other so that way you don't end up having to repeat this. Number 2. Number 3, set the timer for the skills session. How many minutes? The minutes for every single skill session is going to be in the specific training for each and every individual skill session. Okay. But I just wanted to mention here, it's important and critical to be respectful of each other's time. So make sure that you do set that timer. And then number 4, once that timer goes off, you are going to be switching Zoom links. You're going to end the first call and then you're going to meet on the other student's Zoom link. Okay. So you're going to meet on the other partner's Zoom link. So you're switching roles. So that way the other person can practice being an RWP coach. Okay. So note, each student must get practice on the entire process, aka sending the Zoom link, being the host, recording, because this is very important for you to be familiar with, hey, where do I even find my Zoom link, right? How do I start a Zoom meeting, right? How do I be the host? How do I get it to record? It's going to be very important so that way when you're actually working with real world students who are strangers, they are not going to be as nice to you as your fellow students. And so this is what's going to allow you to be able to get your practice in so that way you can understand how this entire process works. Okay. So that is going to be step number 4 that we just finished. We went ahead and talked about doing the skill session. Let's go ahead and talk now about step number 5, which is uploading the recording. Okay. So step 5, upload the recording. Now, what do you do with the recording? After you actually end the Zoom meeting, what's going to happen is you're going to get a prompt, and the prompt is going to say, hey, the recording is processing in the background. A quick note on this. You can continue doing Zoom calls with the Zoom recording processing the background. It's not like if you start another Zoom meeting, the recording is going to stop processing. It's fine. You can go ahead and continue processing the background while you do other meetings, okay? Once the recording finishes processing, what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and upload that recording to YouTube. Now, don't worry. It's not going to be public. We are going to be setting it up as private so nobody else can see it. However, we are going to be uploading it to YouTube so that way it is easy to go ahead and share and submit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk about the step-by-step nitty-gritty of how to actually upload it to YouTube and all the settings and all that kind of stuff. Remember, the cool thing about this is that other than practicing the coaching skill, you're also practicing other skills that are going to be absolutely critical for you in order to actually be able to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month online remotely. And so all of these skills, yes, for some of you it might be newer, but I promise you it's absolutely going to pay off, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut over to a quick mini training on how to actually master this YouTube aspect and actually upload the recording. So without further ado, let's go ahead and cut over to that quick mini training now. All right. Welcome to this quick mini training about how to actually upload your Zoom recording to YouTube. And so we're going to go ahead and go through this step by step so that way you understand exactly how to do this. Number 1, already have a Gmail. So you want to make sure that if you already have a Gmail, like we already recommended in module 1, then guess what's going to happen? You already have a YouTube account, and you can actually go ahead and switch between your different YouTube accounts and Gmails and all that kind of stuff by actually using this right here. So on youtube.com, you'll notice that my youtube.com might look a little bit different because I am anti-distraction. So I am using Newsfeed Eradicator to make sure I don't have anything on here that distracts me. But besides the point is, when you actually go to youtube.com, you will actually be able to click on your profile picture, and then there is going to be an option there that does say switch account if you do need to actually go ahead and switch accounts. Okay, now step number 2 is you do want to go ahead and verify your YouTube account if you haven't done so already, because if your account is not verified, you will be unable to upload videos that are longer than 15 minutes long. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Inside of the guide, there is a link to a help doc from Google that goes ahead and helps you actually verify your account. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and you'll see on here, verify your YouTube account. So what you do is you just click on this link right here, and then what's going to do is going to ask you to enter in your phone number, and it's going to send you a text message or a voice call in order to actually go ahead and verify your YouTube account. Again, remember, if you do have a Gmail, then you already have a YouTube account. All you got to do is verify it. Now, it might already be verified if you've had your Gmail for a long time, but you want to double check, okay? They also have a very nice YouTube video on here on how to verify your account on YouTube. And then on top of that, they have a lot of Q&A on here as well, specifically around how to verify your account, because once your account is verified, you can then actually upload videos that are longer than 15 minutes and, do all this other stuff. Okay, so that's going to be very important as step number 2 for you to go ahead and actually verify your YouTube account. Okay, now then we're going to go into step number 3, and step number 3 is we're going to go ahead and actually upload our file. So once our YouTube account is verified, we're going to select the plus button and drag the MP4 Zoom recording in order to upload it. So I go back over here to YouTube, and then you're going to see that at the very top right here, there is a plus button. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that, right? And then I'm going to click on upload video. And then right here, it's going to go ahead and open up a screen for me to go ahead and actually upload the video file. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to upload my MP4 file. Now, what is MP4? MP4 is just a format of a video, and video files have many different formats. MP4 is just one of those formats, okay? And so what you got to do is, if you have difficulty finding where your Zoom recording is, you want to look at the local recording computer location from the Zoom tutorial in the previous steps, okay? So we talked about where to find your Zoom recording there, but I'm going to go ahead and just pull up an example, okay? Now, I do have a Mac, I have an Apple computer, so this might look different for you if you have a Windows, but let me show you what this is going to look like. So I got my Zoom folder here. Here is a recording, okay? So here's just a recording I have on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag from there into the YouTube player right here. Now, alternatively, I could go ahead and just hit select files, and then there is going to be a way for me to go ahead and upload the files from there, okay? But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and drag it. So boom, I go ahead and drag it. And then from there, what it's going to go ahead and do is it's going to go ahead and it's going to go ahead and upload. Okay, so that was a pretty quick upload because it's just an example. In your case, if the file is larger, it might take a little bit while to upload. Okay, so mine's uploaded very quickly. And then you're going to see that it's going to ask me to name my file. It's going to have my YouTube link on here. And then you can see mine's already processed, but sometimes the processing does take a little bit longer. And so what you're going to do is you're going to step number 4, wait for the upload to complete. And then for the YouTube settings, you're going to go ahead and name it as right here. So here's the template right here. You're going to name it Yasin and Cole Skills Session number 1. Now, obviously don't put Yasin and Cole because your name is not Yasin and your partner's name is not Cole, or it might be, I don't know. But what you want to do is you want to put your name first, and then you want to put your partner's name, and then you want to put what skill session number it is, okay? Now, this is just an example for skill session number 1. It might not actually be skill session number 1, but you want to make sure that you go ahead and put whatever skill session number it is, okay? Very important. Then we scroll down, and we're going to go ahead and, very important, we're going to go ahead and put it's not made for kids. If you put that it's made for kids, there's all these like additional restrictions and stuff. Obviously, this video is not made for kids, and so you don't need to go through those restrictions, okay? That's going to be very important. Now, the other thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead after that and click on next. And then once we click on next, One more time, next, copyrights, video elements, next, keep going next, right here. Once we are here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mark this as unlisted. Right here, very important. We're going to go ahead and mark this as unlisted. And so you can see here that it says anyone with the video link can watch your video. That's what we want. We don't want it to be public, because then anybody can watch it. And we don't want it to be private, because then only certain people can actually watch it. We want it to be unlisted so we can actually share the link. Beautiful. So then from there, what we have next is that we are going to go ahead and copy this link. And the link that we're going to go ahead and copy is what we're going to use in the next step. So now, once the file is uploaded, it might take some time to process in the background, but once you have the link, you can go ahead and let it process in the background and the link is going to be active. Okay, so right here, you can go ahead and click on this copy button right here. And when you click on that, it is going to go ahead and give you your link. Okay, so that's the link right there. You have your link now. You can go ahead and click on save. Make sure you click on save. Very, very, very important. And then once you click on save, you can then go ahead and continue using that link and use it for the other steps. Now, a couple other points on here. Let me hit save. Let me show you in case you missed out. Again, you can copy the link there. But let's say, for example, you are on youtube.com and you're like, oh man, I totally lost my link. I don't know where to find it. What you do is you click on your profile icon at the top right, and then you go over to YouTube Studio. Okay, so you go over to YouTube Studio. So click on your profile icon, you go over to YouTube Studio, and then once you click on YouTube Studio, it's going to show you all of the videos that you have uploaded, and then you can copy the link from there. Okay, so very, very, very important. Remember, each student is responsible for their own recording, and each student is going to have to go through this entire process. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and are familiar with that. Remember, I know for some of you this is going to be new, but remember, this is a skill that you are learning that is going to serve you for the rest of your life. Welcome. You're getting your big boy and big girl pants on. You're really starting to be able to do this successfully. I'm really proud of you. You're doing amazing. And I don't mean big boy, big girl in a derogatory way or in a put down way. Okay. I mean that this is actually some skills that are going to serve you for a very long time. For some of you, this is going to be normal. You already done this before. For some of you, this is going to be brand new. Stick with it. You're going to do amazing. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and hop back over to the main training so we can go ahead and continue with the steps on how to do the skills session. All right, welcome back from that quick mini training about how to upload your recording. It's going to be very important for you to understand that. So that way, once you do get to that point, when you are doing your skill session, you know exactly what to do with the recording and you have everything set up properly. Okay, so all of that is very important. Remember, each student is responsible for their own recording and uploading it and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so that is step number 5 of the 7 steps in order for us to be ready for our skills session that we need to understand. We're now going to go ahead and talk about step number 6 inside of this process. And step number 6 is submitting the recording and also submitting your takeaways. Okay, so now that your recording is uploaded to YouTube and unlisted, what are we going to do with the link? Answer. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to our original comment on the skills session student community post, and we're going to reply to our own comment, and we're going to go ahead and say, hey, here's my RWP session with XYZ partner, here's the link, and then we're going to go ahead and have our takeaways there. Okay, so let me show you what that might potentially look like. So you see here's my original comment underneath the skills session, the specific skills session here, and then you see here is my comment. All I did was I hit reply, and it said, here is my skills session number 1 with Muhammad Malik. I went ahead and tagged him. The tag is very important. How you tag people, just FYI, is by hitting the @ button, @ key on your keyboard, and then you just type in their name. So when you hit @ and then it'll go ahead and tag them, and then you're going to have the YouTube link that you went ahead and uploaded, and then you're going to have your takeaways. So you can see here, as an RWP coach on the coaching side, this was my takeaways, and as a student, this was my takeaways. Now, quick point on here. Your comment does not have to follow this format. This is just an example, okay? So I'm just giving you an example. It does not have to follow as a student, as an RWP. However, it does have to follow this format right here. Here is my skill session number 1 with @ tag the person, YouTube link, and then after that you have your takeaways, okay? Now, remember, each student is responsible for their own recording. So the other student is also going to be tagging you and following the same steps by replying back to their own comment specifically for that skill session post, okay? So remember, every single skill session, this is just skill session 1, just as an example, every skill session is going to have its own post in which you're going to be following these steps, okay? Now, are you scared to post in the student community? Are you scared to post your YouTube link? Good. Congrats. That's a good thing. You're growing. And I'm going to go ahead and address these concerns here in just a little bit, but I just want to go ahead and plant that seed that we're going to go ahead and talk about that here in just a second. Beautiful. So that is going to be step number 6 out of the 7 steps. So we've gone ahead and knocked pretty much all of them out. Step number 7 now that we're going to go ahead and talk about is marking the action step as complete. So what you're going to do is once you actually complete the other 6 steps, you are going to actually return back to the classroom and you are going to go to the specific skills session training. And inside of the classroom, you want to go ahead and make sure that you mark as complete that you went ahead and completed your skills session. Okay, so that's going to be very important. And then boom, once you've gone ahead and done that, that is the 7 steps in order to get your skills sessions done. Okay, so we went ahead and talked about setting up your free Zoom account, commenting and how to do the commenting on the student community post, DM conversation and scheduling, doing the skills session, uploading the recording, submitting the recording and the takeaways, and then marking the action step as complete. Okay, now, an important note to this. Yes, you are learning many skills when you do this. You will be learning skills related to technology, related to networking, and a whole bunch of other skills, learning how to use Zoom, how to use YouTube, all that kind of stuff. The point of these skill sessions is not only to practice the specific coaching skills, but to also practice the other skills as well. Because remember, the more repetition you do, the better you're going to get at it. So uploading to YouTube, where to save the files, how to link, how to name stuff, all of that kind of stuff. And so by learning and getting the reps on how to use Zoom, how to operate the technology, how to use YouTube, it's going to prepare you and allow you to become somebody that can make $10,000 plus per month online remotely. And so for some of you, all of this is going to be completely new. All of this whole tech side of things, it's going to feel and be completely new. Guess what? That's okay. For some of you, some of it's going to be new. For others of you, hey, none of it's going to be new. So you've already have this skill, right? But that's not the point. The point is to get the practice to acquire these skills and use them specifically for your remote wellness practice, okay? So you need to make sure that you go through this entire process. Remember, skill equals knowledge times reps. And so what we are doing here is that you're getting the knowledge, and then through these skill sessions, you are putting in the reps so that way you can acquire the skill, okay? So yes, it will start off feeling and being hard, but the more reps you do, the easier it will become. And so if you have any questions of this, remember, we're here for you. We're here to help you. Let us know if you have any questions about anything, the tech side of it, any side of it, right? Just let us know. We're here for you. We're here to support you. Want to make sure that we answer any of your questions as you go through this process. Beautiful. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and as we start to close out this training, let's go ahead and talk about the skills sessions, fears, and limiting beliefs. This is going to be very important for those of you who are at this point in the training and wondering, man, what is going on here, right? So limiting belief number 1, this is very, very, very critical. Listen to me very clearly here, okay? Some students who get to this point who are very scared, and those students who wear the failure uniform, they might think, I'm very scared to post and put myself out there. I don't want to record. I don't want to post it. Other students might see this. Other students might judge me. I don't like the sound of my voice. My worry is fill in the blank, whatever their worry is, right? Now, this is what that student needs to understand, is that this is not how successful remote wellness practitioners and those who are successful with making $10,000 a month online remotely think. They don't say these kinds of things, or they don't think these kinds of things. Or better yet, they might think these kinds of things. They might have these certain thoughts, but they overcome them. They see them as obstacles that they can overcome. Because here's the truth. That student must understand that you are becoming a professional. This is a part of the identity change that you are going to have to go through, okay? If there are other students who are winning, who are comfortable with this, and then the student who is wearing the failure uniform is not comfortable with this, then what that means is that it has to do with the student and not with the activity. The student who is wearing the failure uniform has to take a close look at their identity, at their character traits, at their beliefs, at their paradigm, all of those things that we talked about in Module 2, right? This is where those students who wear the failure uniform are going to have to work on themselves and level up in order to become resilient. They are going to have to little by little, step by step, be okay with starting to put themselves out there, okay? It's okay. Yes, you are going to have to put yourself out there little by little, but you're doing it in a supporting environment. We are here to help you and help make sure that you are successful with this, okay? We love you and we care for you. That's what I tell that student who thinks like this, right? And so if students who wear the failure uniform are this scared to put themselves out there in an environment that is as supportive and as nurturing as this one, what are those students that are going to have to go out into the real world? What are those students going to do when the people out there are ruthless and want to tear them apart? right? This is the reason why we actually practice. We are not saying go out on national television in front of hundreds and thousands and millions of people and bomb flat on your face. We're talking about these skill sessions are in the student community. The student community is not public. Really, your skill session is not going to be seen really by anyone or everyone, okay? So don't worry about it, because remember, skill equals knowledge times reps. And so the more reps you get with this and the more times you do it, the less scary it is going to feel. And so just remember, it's okay. We're here for you. We're here to support you. I believe in you, and you can do this. If you have any questions about this, let us know. If you're really stuck and something's really blocking you mentally, we're here to support you with this, okay? Limiting belief number 2 that I want to go ahead and address really quickly, that's very important, because some students who do not want to put in the work and those students who wear the failure uniform might get to this point when we talk about the skill session, and they might think, wow, this really feels like a lot of work. Is this all really worth it? Is there really no easier way to be able to make money? Is this really worth my time? Or some students who don't want to put in the work, who might wear the failure uniform, might think, oh man, I didn't realize that I was going to have to talk to people. I think, you know what? This doesn't go with my personality, because I have my specific identity, right? This doesn't go with my personality. I don't think that remote wellness is for me. I can't do this. And this is what I have to say to those students who wear the failure uniform. Those students who think or say these things have no idea what it is that they are talking about. I'm sorry to say this, but those students who wear the failure uniform will never be successful making their dreams come true, because their entire mindset is upside down. Students who wear the failure uniform continue to suffer from shiny object syndrome, and the grass is greener on the other side, and they continuously live that loop over and over and over again, okay? But the truth is that those students who wear the failure uniform do not realize that the truth is that the grass is greener where you water it. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it, where you actually put in the work in order to water it, okay? And so the failure uniform student might say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and try, insert whatever shiny object syndrome guru ad that they saw this morning, whatever it might be, right? Or one of the other gazillion other business opportunities that exist. But that failure student will never actually realize that the truth is that the gurus all want to sell a pipe dream, so that way you think that you can actually just buy products from China and sit behind your computer and sell them without ever having to show your face, or sit down and study stock charts and make millions with your Lamborghini parked in the garage. It's not how it works, okay? Because the truth is that all business opportunities require work, and all of them require for you to put yourself out there in some way, shape, or form, okay? But here's the cool thing. Here's a cool thing about remote wellness specifically. Number 1, it's high ticket. So we're not selling $5 spatulas that we got to sell 2,000 of them in order to make $10,000 a month. We're talking to just a few handful of people. We're not talking to hundreds and thousands of people. We're talking to a few handful of people who are paying us $1,200 to $3,600 that we are developing a relationship with, okay? Number 2, we're becoming a person of value. We're becoming a valuable person. This is a skill set that is going to serve you for the rest of your life. And so you're learning skills of how to talk to other humans that is going to sharpen your ability to be a great coach who can actually impact other people's lives. Number 3, you are literally changing people's lives by working with them. What could be better than that? You are learning the skill set of how to actually change people's lives by working with them, okay? And so yes, it is absolutely going to be worth it. I promise you, when you look back at this, you're going to see that this was the turning point in your life in which you shifted and became a better version of yourself. You are going to be so happy that you did this because of who you became as a result of this. And so to those students who wear the failure uniform, I say, isn't it time that you did something different and finally ended your shiny object syndrome or your opportunity hopping and finally put in the dang work, right? This is the process that all of the most successful people in the world have gone through. They have pushed out of their comfort zone and they have put in the work. And so this is your Rocky cutscene, right? We talked about the Rocky cutscene in the past where you put in the work. Rocky's preparing for the fight. He's doing the push-ups. He's doing all of that kind of stuff. This is your Rocky cutscene in which, yes, it sucks right now, but you are uncomfortable now so that way you can be comfortable later. Do not do it the other way around. You absolutely got this. Deal? I just want to make sure that we are solid on this. I don't want any students wearing the failure uniform. This has to be crystal clear, okay? Now, after having said that, still struggling? Are you still scared? Are you still worried? It's okay. talk to us. We're here to support you. We're here for you, okay? Don't worry. Even though we talk about this kind of harshly sometimes, you say, oh, students who wear the failure uniform, they think this and they say this. The truth is that you're only stuck being the failure uniform student if you get stuck in that thinking or saying those things, right? You might just be a winner student who just ended up getting stuck momentarily. And so don't feel bad if those are some of your beliefs, if that's what you're thinking. That's why we're here for you. And that's why we're here to coach you every step of the way. So please just talk to us, reach out to us, right? Talk to us about whatever might be going on. We're here for you and we ultimately do want you to succeed. Awesome. So now with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about your action steps for this specific training. There are going to be 9 of them. Number 1, you're going to go ahead and watch and study this training in full. Number 2, you're going to create your free Zoom account. Number 3, you're going to get familiar with where your personal Zoom meeting room ID is. Number 4, you want to make sure that you understand how the student community posting works. So that way, when you get to that point on the skills session, you know exactly how to do it. Number 5, you want to understand how to actually DM and schedule with a fellow student. You got to be respectful, professional, all that kind of stuff. You want to just make sure you understand that. Number 6, do you understand that you are going to be switching links? Whoever is the RWP coach, it's going to be their Zoom link. You're going to start off with that person and then you're going to switch. That's number 6. Number 7, do you understand how to record on Zoom? Very important. Understand the difference between gallery view, speaker view, local recording, cloud recording, all of that kind of stuff. Action step number 8, you want to verify your YouTube account. Okay, very important. And then action step number 9, you want to make sure that you understand how to upload the Zoom recording to YouTube. Okay, so these action steps are more like understanding based because you're not actually going to be doing these things until you actually get to the skills session training, but just want to make sure that you understand them conceptually. And then you can always reference this training back whenever you actually get to the skills session. Okay, so with that being said, this was the A to Z one-stop shop of how to do the skills session. I can't wait for you to actually get into an actual skills session because there's some of the most fun things in this entire program. I'm super, super excited for you. And with that being said, I will catch you on the next training.